story goes like this. 3 friends were on a sailing trip. Due to a freak accident, the boat sank and they all died. In their final moments of life, a strange calm came over them and they discussed what would happen after death. The first one thought that he lived life in a loop, being born over and over again. He tried to explain.
To be honest, when I die, I think my life's just starting over. As this current mind's erased, I get a quick glimpse of the coda, and it's older than the universe and sits between the eyes of the cobra. And then death taps on my shoulder.
Born again the same way, the same day in each life for G's life.
What we can assume to be eternity, I die a trillion times, I still just wake up in the nursery. Currently a version with the currency of certainty. I've been many combinations of these neural patterns, but I haven't been them all cause they are infinite. Every choice is intricate, we only get a hint of it. Your mind is just the rental, though the mental state is intimate. And since we're into it, sometimes I think this isn't me. I'm stuck in synchronicity, we sink into the sea. I missed the chance to make it stop again, I'm obstinate. I'm confident I'll be withdrawing all the knowledge I'm depositing.
Crash back, grasp the actions of the past again. Trapped in your habits as you navigate the labyrinth. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. I crash back, grasp the actions of the past again. Trapped in your habits as you navigate the labyrinth. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. It's what happens when your mind leaves the gathering.
He finished proud that he had spent his last moments of life sharing such a profound truth with his friends. To his dismay, he looked over and saw one of them laughing and rolling his eyes.
With all due respect, I think your ideas are laughable. You're 33 years old and still you grasp at the irrational. You've rationed all the factual to actually catapult you back to when the magical explained the mathematical. Back when it was practical to tell yourselves a story.
The mind loves a story.
Some are peaceful, some are gory. Almost all of them are boring, but they serve to quell the emptiness, absurdity, the universal accident, obscurity. I find beauty in the nothing. You hope to gain immunity with bluffing. Apply scrutiny to every last coincidence and incident that's instrument to sensing what existence is. Carve meaning in my faculty and reasoning. The self is just the process of the brain that keeps the pieces in believing. When I'm breathing in the sea, I'll cease to be. And when you live without this life is just a meal without the seasoning.
Your brain dies, your mind fades to black, and then you never eat or sleep or love or hate or cry or laugh again. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. It's what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. Your brain dies, your mind fades to black, and then you never eat or sleep or love or hate or cry or laugh again. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. It's what happens when your mind leaves the gathering.
I am the boat, I am the ocean that it floats within, the motive and the motion and the potency of moments when you focus in the pure essential concept of infinity that opens. When I die, I will remember it's a fraction I was noticing. I am everything, let's try to break it down a bit. The universe expanding is a fact, at least it sounds legit. But travel back in time and it contracts to an astounding little point that's inconceivable, but everything came out of it. There was never ever any severing inside the everything, and minds were separated through a sort of tethering. Pure consciousness pretended to forget that it was one and made infinity the moment it was done. We love a story so that we'll accept the self as a reality when really they are just tiny compartments, susceptible to false worlds and actuality. You do it to yourself when you nap at your apartment. What makes you think that non-experience exists when we know the world is truly not appearing as it is? And if we're nearing the abyss, it's of dark matter and energy, remembering to be as clearly as it gets. I wholeheartedly regard that there's nothing that you speak of as impossible.
Remember that you're everything that's happened or that's happening. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. It's what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. Remember that you're everything that's happened or that's happening. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. It's what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. It's what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. This is what happens when your mind leaves the gathering. It's what happens when your mind leaves the gathering.
But they were all wrong. So they all went to Christian hell. Ha